Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to shed light about Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, which he is hailing the African Union efforts to reform its institutional structure. But first, we'll start with this report where flights between the Libyan capital and Benghazi resumed on Friday after an 18-month halt amid an easing of tensions between the Tripoli-based administration and the rival authority in the eastern city.
Flights between the Libyan capital and Benghazi resumed Friday after an 18-month halt amid an easing of tensions between the Tripoli-based administration and rival authorities in the eastern city. Local television images shows the plan on the runway at the Benina airport after landing. Libya has been racked by conflict since the overthrow and killing of Muammar al-Qaddafi in 2011, with rival power centers as well as a myriad of militias vying for control. The two main factions are the United Nations recognized GNA in Tripoli and a parliament in the east which supports strongman Khalifa Haftar. Hopes for a solution to the crisis have risen after the two warring factions in August separately announced they would cease hostilities. The move was followed by a series of UN-backed talks in Morocco, Egypt and Switzerland, and further dialogue is scheduled for next month. However, both sides continue to accuse each other of supporting terrorist groups. Commercial flights between Benghazi and Tripoli were suspended not long after Haftar launched a military campaign to take the capital in April 2019. Flights had only resumed out of Mitiga, the Libyan capital's only working airport, in August after a shutdown due to the fighting and coronavirus restrictions. Despite the recent ceasefire announcement, security remains a major concern for Libyan airlines.
And the regional director of the World Health Organization warned that Africa faces a pivotal movement in its fight against the coronavirus, as cases and deaths rise after eased lockdowns and travel curbs.
The regional director of the World Health Organization warned that Africa faces a pivotal moment in its fight against the coronavirus as cases and deaths rise after eased lockdowns and travel curbs. Over the past month, there has been a 7% average increase in weekly COVID-19 cases across the continent and an 8% average increase in weekly deaths, according to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Despite early words that the pandemic would devastate the region, the African Union's 55 member states have so far recorded around 1.6 million cases, representing just 4.2% of the global total. Its roughly 39,000 deaths represent 3.6% of the global total. Many countries imposed punishing lockdowns and restricted travel for extended periods, measures they would be hard-pressed to reinstate in response to a resurgence. South Africa accounts for nearly half the continent's cases. North African countries Morocco, Tunisia and Libya have also reported sizable increases in recent weeks. Compared to the beginning of the pandemic, African countries are now in a much better position to tackle the new challenges COVID-19 is throwing our way, citing sharp increases in testing facilities and ventilators. But she expressed concern about how rising cases in Europe could affect the continent.
The number of people in South Africa who have tested positive for coronavirus has topped 700,000 people, another grim milestone for the continent's worst hit country.
The South African Health Ministry said that coronavirus cases reported since the first infection in early March surpassed 700,000. Some 2,019 new cases were identified on Friday, taking the total to 700,203, and there have been 18,370 deaths in South Africa. The Health Ministry has recently warned of a second wave of the pandemic in the country of 58 million people if citizens and authorities became complaint and stop taking precautions. After a sharp spike in cases in the month of July, when the country was reporting an increase of 100,000 infections every 7 to 10 days, the spread of the virus has slowed considerably. The 700,000 mark was passed almost 2 months after South Africa crossed 600,000 coronavirus infections. Strange lockdowns measures imposed from end of March to curb the spread of the disease have taken a heavy toll of Africa's most industrialized economy, which was already in recession with nearly a third of its workforce jobless. The economy has shrunk to the same size as 2007 and unemployment has shot up by millions more.
And welcome back. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry expressed Egypt's appreciation for the efforts exerted by the African Union to reform its institutional structure, including the upgrades to the African Union Commission and the Secretariat of the African Regional Economic Communities, RECs. Addressing the 37th Ordinary Session of the AU Executive Council, Shoukry said the reform would enable the continental body to put the plan and programs of the 2063 agenda into force. The meeting held virtually on the 13th and 14th of October tackled a number of African issues, especially the progress made in handling impacts of the coronavirus pandemic in the African states, the preparations for the second AU-REC's summit, and the preparations for the joint action plan in the culture domain for the year 2021. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 positive cases across the African continent has reached 1,592,549 as of Wednesday, while the death toll did hit 38,868 according to the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Egyptian Finance Minister Mohamed Maït had stressed that last month Egypt is keen on unifying the African efforts to contain the coronavirus pandemic and to alleviate its health, social and economic consequences. During the two-day meeting, the Council approved the Union's 2021 agenda and its budget, balancing between the economic consequences of the pandemic on the states members and the necessity of supporting them to ensure the continuity of the Union's work. Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Till tomorrow with another crew, it's goodbye.